Hey y'all, welcome back to the internet. This is Design 264 with Avery. Today, a tutorial Blender using the stage set template file, and I'm calling it a stage set because we're going to think about the layers that we have in Illustrator or in Photoshop as being these like cardboard cutouts or plywood cutouts on a stage, right? And so that we can, if we rotate them, see that there's a little bit of space in between them. And then in that interstitial space, we can do other animating things, but just kind of thinking about like extracting that 2D-ness into this artificial illusionistic 3D space, which is Blender and 3D modeling and animation. Okay, so let's look at Illustrator. So here we are with the template file. The instructions are locked. Great, they're all here. When you're kind of when you have read them to satisfaction, you can make them invisible and make your art layer visible. And what we're going to do in each one of these is to extract each element of our design as its own PNG with an alpha. But if we just do it with each element, it will essentially create a file size, or the dimensions of the file will be this boundary box, this blue boundary box. But we want it to be the entire artboard boundary, and I will show you how to do that, the workaround that I created, which includes using this null for export. So we can unlock this now, and whenever, I'll say it now, I'll say it again, whenever we need to select it, it's invisible, right? So when we want to select it, we click on this circle right here, and it is now selected. And you can see it is 0 null full and null fill and null stroke. And now this is the process. So click any element that you want to be by itself on a layer, on a plane in Blender. So click that, and then shift click your null circle right here, and let me just move them. You have them both selected. You can see in the red there, that's my null, and then this blue highlight is my shape. I'll do Command or Control Z to go back. I have those two things selected. Now I'm going to do right click on anywhere, really anywhere, and then I'm going to collect for export, and then as a single asset. And then you maybe have never used this before, but next to like embedded in the layers panel is the asset export. And there's our asset, and you can't see this null that I created, but it is there, and it's essentially keeping that thing within the dimensionality of the artboard. So we want to go scale, let's go 2x, make it a little bit bigger, something to use. Do export, and then choose a folder. So we can do a new folder, and let's just say that these are test PNG. Great. So select that. So it'll go in there, and it will be in a subfolder. I believe that we call 2x, but you'll see it. So select the folder, and we can now export that. Test PNG. Right there, select the folder. Cool. It's fully complete, and it is the PNG. So now we can do it with other ones. So let's say I want these two to be on a layer together with the null, right? So they maintain their proportionality. Right click, collect for export as a single asset. Dope. There they are. I'm going to keep going. So click the background. Don't need to do the null for export because, you know, don't need to. So right click, collect for export as single asset. There it is. And then the text object. So say I included this if you want to do these separately in terms of not just like one thing that says test, but like a T, an E, an S, and a T. So you can go type, and when it's selected, and then you're going to create outlines. So that's right down here, Shift Control O or Shift Command O, and it turns them into individual letter forms, into objects, into shapes. And before they're deselected, you can go to Object, Ungroup, and now they are their own things. So let's say I want the T and the E together, no, T and the S, this is T and the S together. And we're going to need our null for this one. So right Shift and click on that circle. Have those both selected, or all of those selected. click for export, single asset, and then we'll do the E, the T, and the null, right? Bear with me, we're doing great. And then finally, we're going to get this image right here, and we need that and the null, so shift and then click that circle, right click in the area, click for export. There we go. So we already did this one, so let's grab all the rest, and then 2 times great, and export. And it'll be in there with the other ones. Awesome. So now we can go over to Blender and open up the stageset.blend file. And it looks like this, and it doesn't look like much, because we're going to do all our magic right now. So the first thing I need you all to do is go to Edit, Preferences, and we want to make sure that this image as planed is selected. So this is the process. Make sure this is clicked, add-ons is blue. Come up here and you can just type in images. And it will show up like this probably in the beginning. You just want to make sure that's clicked. And then it will save that automatically for you. You don't have to worry about like hitting save anywhere. And then just click out of that pop-up window. And now in this area we can go Shift A to add. And we want to do images planes. And then we're going to find our test PNG or wherever you save them, and it looks like that's my first one. I just want to make sure that they're all, I think they're all here. Oh no, my first one's out there. So anyway, I'll do these first, and I will, the big thing you want to make sure you do before you hit import is just make sure that these are emit. And emit will make them look like they look on your Illustrator page. If you do principled, it will treat them essentially like a piece of paper, and you'll need to kind of add lighting to them. So if that's what you want, if you want that effect, cool. But if you just want them to essentially to have a way to create space between these things using Blender, and then you can animate them that way, we want emit. And then we don't have to worry about lighting the scene. So import images as planes, great. And then when you'll see when you're in this material viewport shading that they all come in. I'm going to scroll wheel out so you can see, and then hit shift and click my middle scroll wheel and kind of pull around. Here they all are. They're looking great, and you can see they all have the boundary boxes. But what the cuss happened? They all lined up like this. Let me import the last one, and I kind of will show you. So I did Shift A, images plane. This rogue one that got put right here, emit, import. So that one stacked up. That's what we want. And notice when you do just one, it goes to the 000 location, the origin. So we need to put all of those at 00. So now I can click on each one of these, or come here in my outliner and click on them. And you can see what's going on. This one's at 3. So let's click on it, make it 0. Now it's there. This one is at 6. Click on it, on the X location, 0. You're with me. Boom, 0, yes, 0. Okay, now they're all stacked up. But we need to create some space, right, in between them. So you'll see viewport camera that they're all kind of wonky. And they're actually impossibly on top of each other. So if I hit the tilde and then do, say, click here for the right view, zoom out, I'll find them, tilde, right view. You can see here, I'm kind of zooming in and zoom in, and you can't see them. Oh, wait. Hang on, don't get nauseous yet. There we go. I'll do it right here. But there's no dimension in the Y in this direction, in the green direction. So that's exciting. But the camera is set to orthographic. I'll show you right here. It's set to orthographic. So it looks like they're all essentially, you'll see what I'm saying. So I'm going to click, come out of the camera view, and now I can grab each one of these individually and just hover over this Y and say, all right, that's my background. Great. This one, I'm going to move it back there. These figures, I want them behind, or the test. there. These figures, I'm going to move them back here. And I think the rest I'm pretty happy with. So that looks pretty funky, right? But you'll see with the orthographic camera what happens. View. All right, camera. Wait. Oh my gosh. There. View. Viewpoint. Camera. It looks. Essentially, it's not applying perspective to it, so that all of the images fit within here. If we were to switch to the perspective camera, which I'll do right now, perspective, you see it's a little different. And this might be what you want, but you're going to have to make some adjustments to the camera. So right now the camera's at -25, so you might have to kind of zoom in and play with that. So maybe that's how you want to kind of like explode your poster. And cool. But if you want to leave it in orthographic and animate this is how you do it. So you can, I'm gonna make these gizmos go away. They kind of get in my way because I like to use the keyboard, and I'll show you. So select it as maybe select an outliner. No, I want to see them. Sorry. So you can rename these by double clicking if that's helpful for you. But now once you have it, click on one layer, hit I, and if you're just going to kind of move it around, cool. But if you move around and then rotate stuff, maybe do those. Or if you're going to scale, you might want to do all three. So that sets the keyframe for this layer right here, this asset 2 at 2x. So now I can go to my end point, right here is 120. Remember doing 5 seconds and 24 frames per second, and move it there. And then after I do my move, I want to hit I and the location, rotation, scale. And now I can go back, and you can see it moves. Holy moly. Okay, but say for example, you kind of want it, you want the loop. You don't want it to like have this this sort of like jump cut where it goes back to the beginning when it does loop, because these are going to loop. So you can click on make sure your, whatever one you're working on is selected. So we're definitely working on that one. You can click on an individual endpoint, keyframe, which is at the endpoint of our timeline. Make sure it's highlighted, and then you can just left click and drag it to a location. So now it happens a little bit quicker. And then the thing you can do, if you want to return to its original location, click on your initial keyframe right here and then duplicate it, which is Shift D to duplicate, and then you can drag that jam to your endpoint, which is 120, and click to lock it in place. And now check this dopeness out. I can play it, and I have a looping animation. Right? And then you can see how that would happen with all of the other layers. So if you want to add 3D objects into this, you're welcome to. You can use the Sketchfab tab as we did in the poster and object. You can go crazy, but now you kind of understand how to do images planes as they emit, and you can kind of create a stage set and animate that way.